Fantastic. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this four-part Money Mindset series hosted by Natalie and I. I'll get Natalie to introduce herself in a second. So it's 4 parts. So today's all going to be around our core values. So how can we align our money habits, saving, investment habits, all in line with our core values? And that's what today's going to be around. Next month is going to be on beliefs, then thoughts, then language. So lots of different aspects to kind of cover off. We'll be going through the results of the personal values tests in a wee while. Natalie's going to be talking in the first part of the call. That's her area of expertise. She's obviously a life and wellbeing coach called the Wellbeing Girl. I am. I'll tell you what, Natalie, why don't you introduce yourself now, and then I'll introduce what I do.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, David. So I am a wellness coach. I've gone with kind of that term because a lot of my work's very holistic. So my focus is bringing together mind, body and spirit. So all of those aspects, because we're very good at some of those. And for me, the physical side, very good at that, but we don't often then focus on those other parts that are important, especially emotional health. So for me, I have my own core program called The Journey Within, which is about bringing people back home to themselves. So it's people that have become kind of out of connection, very much living their life for external people, external validation, and it's about reconnection. So for me, it's really nice to be here today and be able to kind of talk about this area in relation to something like money, because for me, I actually have some really strong kind of beliefs that I've inherited from my parents around money. Which have actually really shaped kind of who I am today and what relationship I have. So for me, us to be able to kind of bring some of that to the surface and then choose our behavior, a different behavior as a result, is really powerful actually, because a lot of people don't even realize that this stuff is going on in the background subconsciously. So it's a big kind of area that I'm passionate about. So it'd be nice to work through some of that with you guys today.
Brilliant, thanks, Natalie. And so for those that don't know, I'm a financial planner. And I've been doing lots of different workshops around different areas of finance for the last year or so, kind of helping with almost like financial education. And there's almost 2 parts going on, isn't there, when getting better at managing money or growing money or whatever it is. There's the external stuff, like how do I invest and all the different funds and what technical jargon, but there's also the internal stuff, isn't there? Just like Natalie's kind of spoken about just then. It's the self-limiting beliefs that you have about money. Do I deserve it? Those kind of thought patterns really can erode how you can accumulate money over time. So that's the whole point of this series for me, anyway. Is kind of really working on that in that kind of internal monologue that's going on, and some kind of tools and tips that you guys can just take away straight away and just start implementing. You know, it's not going to make you rich overnight, but certainly if you keep on doing those things over a long period of time, then that's going to make a drastic impact. So we're kind of coming from it from 2 different perspectives, I suppose, to help you guys as much as possible on this. So that's me. So shall we get cracking then, Natalie? And why don't you start off with the values results? So we actually tell you what, why don't we quickly go around the room, and it'd be great if you guys could quickly introduce yourselves and just explain a little bit more in terms of kind of almost what you hear today. Any specific questions you might have, and the results of the values questionnaire would be absolutely amazing. Kind of the top 5 values.
If you choose your top 3, then it'll be useful that I can then go on and work with those through the session. So pick the top 3, even though the quiz gives you 5, pick the 3 that you think actually you want to spend time working on today.
I'll start with the top person on my screen, which is Claire. So if you...
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
So hiya, I'm Claire from Devon, and what brought me here is that over the last year I've really been starting to unpick money mindset and had been finding a number of different blocks that were in place, and that had been self-guided. And so I'm really quite curious about some of the additional tools that, yeah, kind of having raised awareness, I can keep bashing them down and rebuilding new ones, essentially in a different tribe, in a different environment. My top values were curiosity, adventure, and growth.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Natalie,
Claire.
are you writing those down, Natalie?
I am, yes.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thanks so much for that, Claire. Great to have you here. And Gina.
Yes, yes, I'm from Norway, and the reason why I wanted to take this course is to get some tools, because I really would like to get more income. Right now, I am a home mom, and I really would like to start a web shop. And I've been trying this for several years, but it's like something is blocking me, and I feel what is blocking me is my mindset when it comes to money. So I'm just starting to work with myself, because I see that I need to do I need a change in my thinking, and yes, some tools to break these blockings. So my 3 top values is, first is family.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for that, Gina. And Natalie. You there, Natalie? Nope. She may have gone. Lou, can we go over you next?
Of course. Good morning, everybody. It's really lovely here. So I'm Lou. I'm in Worthing in West Sussex. And one of the reasons that I was interested in joining this course is that David very kindly came and presented at a networking group that I'm part of. And a bit like Claire, I have just started to become a bit more aware of the whole massive topic of money mindset. And how those different patterns and thoughts and beliefs and things like that impact on what you're trying to achieve. And what Gina was saying is that actually you can be working really, 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 really hard, but if your mindset's off, then it's never going to fall into place in the right way. And so I'm really curious around all of those things. So I'm here out of curiosity, and also in terms of what I could learn for myself. And my top 3, I don't know about anybody else, but I found the values exercise really hard. Trying to choose one over another was really difficult. Anyway, it came out as
it's set up like that, though. It's why it's set up like that, because it's forcing you to choose.
Yeah.
And actually it's forcing us to get out of our head. So the whole point with that, and do it again if you can on another day at another time, because that might get another result. But the whole point is that you've got to choose the first one that comes to mind, and it's about not thinking about it too much. But it's set up that way for a reason, really.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting because I found it really difficult to go, oh yeah, but and I could feel my my brain getting in the way. And when Claire said hers, I was going, yeah, well, those are totally important to me as well, and they're not what's written down here. Anyway, my top 3 yesterday came out as inner harmony, freedom, and love.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So it's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Freedom and love. Lovely. And Cyril, is that pronounce your name right?
Yes, Cyril. Yes. I hope you can hear me. I have a weak internet connection. It keeps telling me. So let me know like this if you don't hear what I'm saying. I'm from California, but I'm living in Vienna I've been in Europe for many years. And I'm basically self-employed artist. And I have definitely found I've had times of great wealth and times of great poverty. Well, I shouldn't say great poverty, but not thriving. And I very much understand that it is somehow a mental mindset, and I'm looking very forward to tackling this head on and weeding out the unattractive weeds in my garden and let the flowers bloom. My top 3 are creativity, growth, and passion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant.
And thanks for being holding this workshop. I'm
That's
excited to be
here. Thanks for coming. Okay. And so we're going to try and go back to Natalie Johnson. Are you?
I'm here. I'm
Oh, you're
sorry.
there. Brilliant.
Yeah, I couldn't get the buttons fast
That's
enough.
okay.
So I also am. I'm in Minnesota. I've been self-employed for 13 years, and just probably about 2 weeks ago, I realized I've been in the same space financially for longer than I choose to be. I'm not consistent, but not moving forward. Like consistent, but not increasing at the level that I would like to increase. So I started to think about what might my money blocks be, or just thinking what was blocking me. And then I just happened to see this course, and I signed up for it. And then I think I emailed you, thinking, wait a minute, does that say 2 a.m. my time? And so I'm actually doing the values thing. It must have went into my spam because I didn't see the email. So I'm doing the values thing now. So I'll let you know what my values are in just a minute.
No problem at all. Wow, thanks for showing up. Well, that's quite impressive. 2 a.m. There we go. Absolutely amazing.
And I'm not necessarily a night owl, but I took a nap and then I woke up. So
I'm not surprised. I would do too. Fantastic. Wow, thanks. Yeah, there we go. So getting up and getting on. Brilliant. Okay then. So Natalie, shall I hand it over to you then for the first part?
Yes. Yeah, no problem. So I guess I just wanted to frame this before we start, why we're kind of doing this values bit right at the start of our journey together. And it's because values are such a foundation for all of kind of this work, really. If we don't know what's important to us and where we want to spend our energy, then it's very hard to move forward in a direction that's in alignment with who we want to be and what we want to achieve. And with our values being clear, we can start to make it really clear and easy what's getting in the way of those values as well. So those shoulds become very, very clear to us, and it's easier to then put a boundary in and say no, because of the fact that we know that a value is being kind of conflicted. But if we don't know these things, it's very, very hard for us to kind of like just put a ring around it. So for me, this is absolutely where we should start. So I just wanted to explain that we're going to use values as more of a feeling rather than a word, because my first thing I'd say is we could all have the value of freedom, for example, and we could all have something different being represented from that value of freedom. So the first thing we're going to spend a little bit of time with is actually just thinking about these 3 words from your top 3 and thinking about what that feels like. So for Claire, it might be when curiosity is a 10, what's present in your life? What does that feel like? So for Gina, when family is at a 10 in terms of you honoring that, what's present and what does that feel like? So spend a few minutes with that initially, and we won't go too much kind of in depth with everyone, but it's a really nice exercise just to kick us off so that you're focusing on the feeling that sits behind the value rather than getting kind of stuck on the label. Sometimes adventure is a really good example of this, in that I had a session yesterday and someone was saying, well, I feel like adventure should be high adrenaline, jumping off a mountain. But actually for her, adventure was just pushing herself into something just that bit new. And it was really soft, actually, the energy around that, rather than actually being really drastic. So again, it's kind of not looking at the external label of this word, it's feeling into what that represents for you. So I'll give you guys just a few minutes, and then I'll just ask maybe 1 or 2 of you to just talk through one of those 3 values, and hopefully that just sets the tone for kind of where this work's going to take us. David, I could pick on you actually. In terms of freedom, I know that's a really big one of yours. Do you want to give us a bit of an idea of what that feels like to you, putting you on the spot? And actually, it's funny I've just said that, because for you it is high adrenaline, isn't it, with that freedom value?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, freedom is one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing my job today, and the reason why I'm self-employed. You know, I knew from quite an early age that I didn't want to have to be answering to anyone else in terms of a boss type figure, and the lack of freedom, I guess, for me is in terms of the feeling itself, is a tight feeling sensation around the chest. Like it's almost not difficult to breathe, but just a panicky sensation. If I don't have that, then I'm just not happy, really. And I know when I'm not getting it. It's a tight feeling in the chest, but also it's kind of a cloudy feeling in my head, if that makes any kind of sense.
Well, it doesn't, you know, it will only make sense to you. And that's the point, you know, the fact that you've got this guide now of like, oh, I'm getting this tight feeling in my chest. Maybe something's off with freedom. You've got that as a compass to guide you now, but it won't make sense to anyone else. And that's the point. Like, because we try and like make it make sense to everyone else. And it's like, it's okay that it doesn't, because actually, as long as it makes sense to you and you've got that kind of like sign or kind of, you know, that guide, then that's all that matters, that you're kind of clear on that. So no, that's really great awareness that you've kind of been able to place that in your body. So a lot of us really struggle, like we're only in our heads, you know, and a lot of this work's about like trying to get into our bodies as well. Anyone else want to share anything that came up for them around this? Any particular value that, you know, either was quite hard to attach a feeling to or was kind of particularly easy?
I'm very happy to share. So I looked at inner harmony. And for me, inner harmony is all about a sense of peace, a feeling of calmness. I use the word harmony again, where everything feels in balance, and it's that real feeling of contentment where everything is just as it needs to be. All is good in the world and in my world in terms of my space as well as my external space. And so that word balance is really important in there as well. And it's that real,
Just you talking about it just makes it sound so delicious. Like it's a really strong one of mine as well, in that I really struggle to achieve peace because of my masculine like upbringing, but it's one of those where it's just like delicious comes to mind, you know. It's just that kind of feeling once you find it. But yeah, that's amazing, the fact that you're able to kind of label some of that. And is there a particular activity you can do at the moment, Lou, that kind of, you know, actually if I give my, you know, my body this, or I do this activity, I can feel that?
For sure, there are loads, and particularly at the moment, it's always going to be meditation. That's always the place that you know, I can access that pretty easily because I practice regularly. But also think, you know, simple things like walking in nature, those sorts of things, and being really, really present and really noticing what you notice. It does just help you get out of your head and really connect with yourself and with the environment. So yeah, just simple things like that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really good to help us just bring this to life a bit more. Before we move on and do a little bit of rating around those, does anyone else want to share anything that kind of came up or anything they might be struggling with? And no worries if not, because it's you don't have to.
Okay, I would like to share a little bit. Because I think that the problem I have had when it comes to the money mindset is that security, like, and family is like very important to me. And I think the reason for that is because I had a quite difficult start of my life. So I value family and security very high. And it's a conflict between security and low income. Because I'm thinking about, for example, I'm thinking about my daughter. She is like very important, maybe more important to me than anything else. And I want to give her a better future in terms of family security, but also in terms of a better future when it comes to income and money. So I would like to change this. to try to come out of the security zone and start, for example, starting a web shop or anything that can help me. So there is like a conflict between this safety and security, and then to be more like, I am also adventurous, but it's like not the top top value.
There's other stuff getting in the way, maybe, because you
Yeah,
can't
yes,
because there's other stuff
yes.
that's stopping you. Yeah. I feel like the belief stuff actually that we're going to cover is really going to help here, because it will help us understand how our childhood kind of does affect our beliefs, and then how we can kind of like really challenge some of those thoughts that might not be true. And I think the stuff we're going to go on to do now actually around rating kind of how we're currently honoring those might actually help with that, Gina. So I'm not going to answer that directly now, but it's worth us coming back to that and unpicking it as we go through, because I do think you're right in that there's quite a lot of like complex bits going on there in terms of like the fact that those elements are kind of in, affecting each other, which is absolutely what's gonna happen. So if that's okay, that's how I'm going to handle that one.
Okay.
Cool. Was there someone else that was quickly going to say something before I move on? Was it Claire?
Yeah. So I was going to pick up on curiosity. Curiosity has always been a really, really strong value of mine. But I can see now I've moved into entrepreneurship, how it could be tripping me up. For example, over the weekend, I spent time on Singularity University thinking about AI and where the world's going in that, and listening to the challenges in terms of education for young people. And I created a presentation recently around the future of education, what that looks like. And so I know I am in deep flow in that, and it's so yummy. It's just like, right, where do you go next? What does it look like? But I know that I probably need to put it in a container, because I could I could spend 60 hours a week just playing and searching and connecting and asking questions, whereas it needs to be channeled.
Really, thank you so much for raising that, because it's such an important one. So all of these values have like a scale, and they have like a positive and a negative as well. So with anything, if this value becomes kind of too much or too little, that's when the balance is out. If we come back to kind of Lou's word of balance, it's a really good one. So actually it's about you kind of feeling into that a bit more, Claire, in terms of actually like putting a container around it to say, well, actually for me, curiosity needs to be present, but it might be present on like certain days or at certain times of the day, so that you can have your like really curious time, but then you can kind of get on and do your more masculine tasks that are like, I need to get this done and achieve. So with all of these, it's about awareness, because once you understand them, you can then understand how to bring them in and access them. But also kind of when you're like, for me, if I'm like getting stuff done, peace as a value isn't necessarily going to be useful at that time. So you can switch the energy. And this is again all available to us, but sometimes we've just got to kind of work. It's like training a new muscle almost. Think of it like that. So thank you for raising, because that's a really good point, in that they all have spectrums. For freedom with David, we wouldn't want him jumping off a cliff every weekend, I don't think, because that it's not then useful, and I think it then counteracts other values. So again, it's a really good point. I'm going to give you a task now. I'm aware that we're already at 8:30 and I've got to pass on to David in 5 or so minutes, but I'd love you to rate those 3 values with regards to how you're currently honoring them in your life today at the moment. So 0 is not at all, and then 10 is absolutely. And this will lead us really nicely into what David's going to take us through in terms of kind of looking at the energy around these values, and then looking at kind of how it links to then finance, because everything is energy here. So actually for you, knowing actually what level you're at with things and how much work there is to do, we can then look at the kind of the link then to finance and financial mindset from here. How would you rate freedom, David, for you?
At the moment, probably 8 out of 10. Feel quite free.
Pretty good.
Well, actually, no, not the lockdown. I'd have to think.
It's good though. That's internal freedom though, which is great, because with everything, like, yes, there's the external, but there's elements you can do yourself to be feeling free. No,
definitely. Yeah, just that ability to wake up in the morning and just have the day to yourself and do what you want to do
on your time,
rather than what someone else is telling you to do. I think that's so key to life. For me personally, you know, if you've got that, that's brilliant. But might not be that powerful for other people, but it certainly is for me.
I think for me, David, linking with that, it's the freedom to be who you are.
Yeah.
And that links with not being told what to do and who to be. I
definitely,
think.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
I can totally resonate with that. Freedom is my second one.
yeah, exactly.
A lot of people have a mask that they wear at work, and that's because for that reason at work they can be this person, but then at home they're a different person. This is where we get separations in our identity, because actually we can only be certain types, bring our certain elements to certain situations. So fascinating. How are we getting on with rating these? I'd be interested to hear which one you scored the lowest, because this is the one I think that will, again, it's just kind of either starting with the highest or the lowest really, but from kind of the fact that I've got restricted time today, it'll be nice to work on that one that's lower and really understand then with David how that almost could be improved, and then link that through to then the conversation of actually how are we aligning our energy and then spend compared to these values. So again, feel free to jump out and share if you want to.
Shall we go around the room again? Just one last round?
I know.
Yeah, go on then, Claire.
Yeah, I think someone was talking.
There's a hole there. So me, the lowest was
is anyone else struggling with connection?
Yeah. Sorry, Claire, can you say that again? You've got a bit robotic.
Adventure was mine. Living adventure on yeah.
You might need to say that again, because we lost the first part of. I think you're back now, though.
Now you're on mute.
Now you're on mute. We get there in the end, won't we? Oh, you're on mute, Claire. There you go.
On my own little adventure out in Wi-Fi territory. So I think lockdown is a big part of that, but I think it's also been a big cop-out for that, and there's more that I can do in terms of setting a firm goal, saving towards it, visualization. I live in Devon, for crying out loud. I'm within 20 minutes of beach and moorland, so it's just pull your finger out, plan it and do it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Brilliant. We'll go to Gina next.
Jump in next.
Gina, so we go on to you next?
Yeah. Yes. You want to know which one I rate?
Yeah.
I did not really understand.
Yeah, so
the one I rated highest or lowest?
Yeah, so which one you're currently honoring? So which one you currently feel like you're bringing through into your life at the moment? So that was the question. So 0 being not at all, and then 10 being completely. So was there one that you're struggling to kind of bring through in terms of the behavior into your life at the moment more than the others? To be honest, from what you've said, it probably is that the security piece probably is the lowest one based on what you've said so far.
Yes, it's security. Yes.
And it's just understanding that so that we can then almost have that in our mind moving forward for the next part of the workshop. That's all.
Okay.
Okay,
brilliant.
So I think that everything that I do circle around family, because like family is the highest, the most important value. And I scored highest on family, then it was certainty and security. And security is like maybe like 7 7 or yes. I'm not sure really what to rate because I didn't really understand the rating system.
Don't worry, Gina, that's fine. It will all make a bit more sense in the next kind of 5-10 minutes, so don't worry. But that's everything you've done is fine.
But-
There's no rules. It's all good.
Okay. Okay.
When you say security, is that financial security?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
It's financial security. Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Brilliant.
it's like coming out of the zone of being trying to be totally secure, and then trying to step out to do something new, like starting to become like an entrepreneur or something like that. But the difficulty for me is like to step out. It means I have to like something about the security that makes it difficult to step out.
So it's about having financial independence, really, isn't it?
Yes, to be independent financially.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Gina. And then Lou, what's your highest and lowest?
Hello. So my highest 2 were harmony and freedom at 8.
Yeah.
And rather sadly, my lowest one was love at 6. And I kind of had to sit with that for a bit, going, okay, so why is that? And a lot of that will be around the fact that I haven't been able to see the people that I love. My family live in Singapore, and I normally go out there to see my mum and my dad and my brother and so on. And of course, I haven't been able to do that, and I'm really feeling that terribly. And my friends, you know, I can't. I'm a big hugger, and I haven't been able to hug anybody other than the people I live with. So I think that will be a lot of what's feeding that one at the moment.
Fantastic.
Boo.
I resonate with that. I'm a hugger too. It's hard for us huggers over here.
Oh my, honestly, it's so difficult. And when I do happen to see a friend from a distance, it's so hard.
We can't do it, can we, David? We run towards people with our arms open. They're like, wah! But no,
yeah,
good fun.
Get told off.
Yeah, I've said to everybody, we're going to have to schedule in extra hugging time. We are allowed, you know, it's just a whole year to catch up on.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for that. And Cyril?
Okay. Interesting to rate them. Growth is massive because this is all I've been doing during this year, is taking class after class and diving into everything that I've been interested in, and I feel like I'm in a university of my own choice, so I love this. But and the creativity is still going, but the passion, I realized, is my lowest, and I don't, although I enjoy the growth, I am I realized there's nothing that's absolutely, you know, ripping my heart open with excitement and I've got to do this. So I'm just walking along and looking around, but I'm looking for more.
That's a really massive realization, isn't it? And a good question for you to ask yourself, almost like, if passion was a 10, what would that look like? What would that feel like? What would be present there, you know? And ask yourself those questions, because there'll be some tips there around actually ways you can bring that back in. And there'll be times in your life when it was a 10. So ask yourself, maybe, when was it a 10? What did that look like when it was a 10? Because actually that might be a clue as well. It might just be something you can sit with before you kind of figure out what that looks like next anyway.
Excellent. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. And then last but not least, Natalie.
I am still I think I'm making this harder than it needs to be, but I am taking ferocious notes as you guys are doing this. And I'm glad I signed up for all 4 of them, because I think this is preparing me for how I need to be present for the next 4 of them. But I am taking notes, and I'm writing down the different questions to ask myself, and And as I look at the values, and I love value work, so this is right on target with
Oh
me.
yeah. No, don't worry
Brilliant.
about having the answer now, Natalie. It
Yeah.
might be that we can check in over email on this when you've got your results over the next kind of week or so.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I think
Perfect. Over to you.
The whole point of this, at the end of the day, we've only got an hour here, but there's so much more we could be doing on this, both for myself and Natalie. So, if you wanted to pick it up with us on a kind of a one-to-one basis with us after, please feel free to get in contact. But something that I do a lot with clients, and again, this can be done over the course of many, many different sessions, is effectively how can we align our spending habits in line with our values. Okay, so now we know what our values are. Now we know what what we rate is to be our highest values, or indeed our lowest values. How can we start aligning our spending habits in lieu of that? And a good exercise that I think is most pertinent to this call anyway is I want to ask the question to you guys: what do you perceive as money being? What does it mean to you guys? Anyone want to shout any answers out?
I look at it as an energy source. It's
Energy
a source of
source.
energy.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah. Anyone else?
I was going to say, I look at it as a tool.
A tool, yeah. A tool for what?
A tool to use to accomplish some of the things that I desire to do. Not all of them, but some of them. It's a necessary tool in some of exchange in some areas.
But it's still exchange. Is that word around energy exchange there? So directly.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, it gives you more options, doesn't it? It's a tool to be enabling you to do what you want to do.
Yes.
Giving you options in life.
Yes.
Indeed. Yeah. Anyone else? We had Simon join the call. Morning, Simon.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry, I was trying to join through Eventbrite, but it said the YouTube video link wasn't working, and it took me a bit of time to find your email. So.
Okay, no worries. We've already gone through the values bit, but we're just at the moment we're talking about what money means to us, either as a kind of a means of exchange or whatever it might mean. So, any other answers from anyone else?
Mine are pretty much the same. Sorry, Claire, go on.
Yeah. I don't know. I was going to say pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's about financial security now, but I would like money to be a tool that I can develop myself to be able to increase income and to fulfill my dreams, to have like this web shop. But now it's like I feel that for me now, money is what is limiting me. And this is the reason why I'm here, because I want to expand it. And I think what is hindering me is like fear to come out of my comfort zone, because this is in the family's my comfort zone. And I've been there for quite a while, and I would like to get out of this comfort zone. And money would then be a tool to be able to fulfill my dreams.
Sure.
And to start whatever. So it's like a bit double-sided for me. I feel like kind of money is made me stuck where I am. The lack of money.
Sure.
So I had a lot of lack of money in my life, and I would like to have like more abundance.
Sure.
In order to have the freedom, financial freedom. So so you can say go from financial security to financial freedom. That is what I'm working with.
Yeah, because I mean, financial freedom, financial independence ultimately is it's being able to do what we want with the time that we have, isn't it? It's the status of almost having enough income to pay for one's living expenses for the rest of one's life, but without having to be dependent on others, not having to be dependent on a spouse or a boss or perhaps a particular job. But that is pretty much the ultimate goal, I think, for most people. Once you've got that, and that kind of comes down to, okay, well, how can I start building up a pot of money to enable me to get those things, having some passive income coming in, to then go off and live the life that you want to, and so much of what I do is fundamentally based around trying to get clients to that point. Now, that may take a long time for certain people, but it's, again, slow incremental steps over time makes a drastic impact. But no, thanks for sharing that, Gina. An exercise that I'd like to get everyone to do now, and Cyril, I love your description of money, energy, because basically, I mean, if you think of money is something that you trade your life energy for, and I think, Lou, you would have heard me talk about this in the previous networking group that you're a part of, but ultimately what you're doing is you're trading the time that you have for cash in your pocket or cash in your bank account, aren't you? Now that might seem pretty obvious and self-explanatory. So what you're doing, you're selling your precious hours, you're giving up every single day for the money that you have. And money actually intrinsically has no meaning, does it? Realistically. So how much of my life am I willing to give up for, let's say, for example, this laptop or the chair I'm sitting on or any kind of things that I have in my house? So I want to share my screen with you guys now, and I'd like everyone to kind of go through this exercise with me if you can. So if I just share. Now, this book, I would highly recommend anyone reading it if anyone hasn't done already. Has anyone read this book before? Vicky, Robin, Your Money or Your Life?
Yeah, it's still on my list.
Highly recommend reading this book if anyone that hasn't. But one exercise that I think is really useful from this book is this one here. So just trying to link with this with some of your guys' values. So I'm just going to get these up here. So for example, Gina, you mentioned your highest value was family. Yeah, spending time with your loved ones, your children, that kind of thing. Okay. So if you could all write down on a piece of paper your top 5 discretionary costs, if you know what they are.
Your signal's not very good. It's worth, David, is it worth you changing your Wi-Fi?
Oh, can you not hear me very well?
Your Wi-Fi is really bad. You're going in, so we can't really hear you. Might be better to change
okay,
your
let me just
connection.
quickly change my connection. I'll be right back.
We need the gems.
What? The most important moments.
Oh dear. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. What did we miss there?
The exercise.
Everything.
Did you miss most of that or half of it?
Since you started sharing your screen, really.
Okay. Oh God. Okay, fine. So let's go back. Let's go back a few moments. Okay. So what this exercise basically says is the hours per week that we give to buying a certain thing. So in this example, a lady's going out and she's spending money on buying magazines. Okay. So 40 hours a week is spent doing that. And the average pounds per week, and then you can work out. Sorry, so this is your salary. Sorry, so the hours that you're working per week, plus the amount of you're earning is your net hourly wage. But then you can work out, okay, so how many hours am I actually spending doing that job? So that could be commuting to work. That could be spending money on meals, on buying suits, for example. And then you can work out and deduct, okay, well, how much money am I actually spending doing those activities? Okay, so this person's 40 hours a week, actually spending 30 hours doing those job relating activities. And that's the associated costs, 300. Okay, so once you worked those things out, so how much hours, how much money am I spending going and doing my job, will actually give you your net income, if you will. So after all deductions, this particular person is actually earning £10 an hour. So once you've then worked that out, what are you then doing? Well, you can say, right, well, from those £10 an hour, what am I spending my money on? Okay, so a really good exercise would be to list your top 5 discretionary spending habits that might come up of your bank account every single month. Does anyone actually have a rough idea of what those are? And when I say discretionary, you've got your essential spending habits, which is obviously things like your mortgage repayments, your bills, things you can't do without. So just spend a few minutes and just have a quick think about what your top 5 spending habits are. And then maybe if you can shout some of them out. Anyone want to have a go?
I spend a lot on books, courses, from my growth value section.
Yeah.
I resonate with that. I'm like a bookshop over here.
Yeah. And magazines, but those are for my art. So I buy them only. It's not, it's a tool for my creativity.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so those do already link with the values that you have.
Oh, I see.
And anyone else?
I would say books, electronics, and probably more food than I have been with COVID. More food than normal.
Yeah.
And then maybe health related things now. More like gadgets, like, now I've got weights, and now I've got exercise bands that I kind of use and I don't use, but it would have been a gym membership, but my gym, I used to go to the gym, but I would swim all the time, but that's kind of not an option right now. So trying to find those things that keep me kind of keep me active. And then maybe things to go with my bike, but I can't bike right now, so because the weather is not bikeable.
And so how much money do you think you spend on a kind of a weekly or monthly basis buying those books or those exercise gadgets that you have, roughly? Do you have an idea?
No, I keep very good track of my money, probably on miscellaneous stuff that I probably wouldn't be spending. I would probably be spending it differently. I'm not shopping or anything like that, but I just did my my money today, so probably about $200 about $200 just on miscellaneous stuff that I probably wouldn't spend otherwise. Extra, like, when I go to the store, I have the list and I pick up a couple of extra things, and one of the things I've tried to do, especially with COVID, is to exercise my creativity. So maybe journal, like some of the journals that I buy or books that I do, maybe drawings or different things. And so, yeah, and some course. I've been taking some courses as well.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for sharing that. And it sounds like you are kind of in alignment there, therefore. This whole exercise is to show you how many hours of life energy you are giving to actually doing those activities that you've just mentioned, Natalie. And then you can come back to what we spoke about in the first part of the call, where, well, actually, those values that aren't quite as high as I want them to be, why don't I really be true to myself and have a think about, am I spending too much money and too much time doing those particular things? So if I am going out and spending money and time on self-help books, then brilliant, fantastic, you're on the right course. Has anyone else got any examples or perhaps areas in their life that they're spending just, do you know what, I'm just spending too much time on that, too much energy on that, and it's not quite in alignment?
David, can I say something about that too? Because the other thing about it is you can spend a lot of money on self-help books and those type of things and still not do the things that you read, do the things that you read about. I mean, there are some that I get and I read. I may read a few chapters and I'm like, I've read this before, and then I may either donate it or send it off to a friend or somebody else that can use it. But I think that that's one of the things too, where you can be in alignment, but you also, and I think that's, kind of one of the things that I said, that's why I'm excited to finish this value thing, is being stuck. Am I, what is the thing that I need to unblock me or maybe catapult me to the next space, because I can be a self-help guru. I can probably teach and write my own self-help book. So maybe that's one of the things to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. Anyone else got any thoughts?
Okay, right now I see that according to my values, I'm spending most of my money on family related things. Of course, it's house rent, loan, and all these things, and that is very much of my money goes to these things. And what I have left goes to my family, especially my daughter, for everything that she needs. And I think that I started now to change a bit, to start to spend more time on what I need. For example, what courses or books that I need to come out of this comfort zone. So I'm now starting to shift the spending, how can I say, mentality a little bit from focusing on everyone else, and I'm starting to focus more on myself and how to expand my money mindset, something like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much. Yeah, well done. Yes, and I think that's the main point out of this, isn't it? Is once you've really got an understanding of what your outgoings are per month, then we can start having that discussion around, right, first of all, obviously, how does that coincide with my top 5 values? But how much fulfillment and satisfaction did I actually receive in proportion to the life energy spent? And that's why that first exercise is so important, because you really need to understand it doesn't need to be on an hourly basis, it can just be on a weekly basis. How much time am I giving up doing the job that I'm doing? And how much am I earning doing that job that I'm doing? And then how much am I giving up after I've done that in conjunction with my spending habits? And are those spending habits giving me fulfillment and satisfaction in line with my values? So it's almost just going full circle.
Yeah.
But it's not until you've done that exercise that you can really start digging down and finding out. Now, you won't be able to find out the answer straight away. This is going to take some time over the course of many different sessions. So yes, Lou.
I just wonder if it would be possible for you to write those very useful questions down somewhere so that we can come back and reflect on them at a later date.
No, 100%. I'll send out an email after this,
Awesome.
summarising everything we've gone through. Definitely. Natalie, any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's exactly as you said, it's a constant loop. And what I would say is that they aren't stuck in stone. So these values constantly change as we change. And I think it's also not having them as like they don't want to be restrictive. Actually, one day you might wake up and say, actually, growth isn't really a top value anymore because actually I'm there. I've done enough of that work, but actually it's being replaced with passion. So it's, for me, it's almost, I love this concept of doing them monthly. And for me, I love the moon. So I do it in line with all of that. But it's one of those where actually revisit this regularly, because you'll actually be able to reflect on how you're changing and then moving towards that person that you want to become. So, and that's why I say to you guys, don't just do it once, maybe do it in the next week as well, in a different environment on a different day, because actually that'll be telling you a little bit about the answer you get. And this is just another tool for you to understand yourselves a bit better. So don't try and use them as a label. That's the kind of the biggest thing that I'd say. But I think it leads us on really nicely to beliefs, because some of the belief stuff gets us stuck a lot more than we realize. And that's what next week is about. It's really understanding some of this subconscious behavior that we didn't even know it was playing out. And that's, going to be fascinating.
Yeah. So three questions that I'd like you to write down and take away. So first one I just mentioned, did I receive fulfillment, satisfaction and value in proportion to the life energy spent? That's the first key question. And I'll write these down in an email and I'll send these out as well. And that is basically answering the question, if my spending is bringing me kind of happiness almost, is it in alignment with living my dream? Yeah. The second question, is your expenditure of life energy in alignment with my values and my life purpose? Okay. And that's almost taking you in a direction that resonates with your values and dreams. Okay. So that's the second one. And third question I'd like you to take away and have a think about before the next session is how might your expenditure change, the expenditure that you've currently written down already, how might that expenditure change if I didn't have to work for money? If money was no object, do you think that expenditure would change in any way? So imagine if you no longer had to make money to support your lifestyle. And I think, Gina, this is kind of almost coming back to what you were mentioning earlier. And that, once you answer that final question, that is when you start getting to that kind of level of financial independence, like I mentioned earlier, not necessarily having to work for those things, but being able to do them anyway.
Yeah.
And that may take months, years to get to, but that's a good starting point, really kind of unpicking those questions. Does that almost make sense to everyone? I kind of rushed through the example earlier, and obviously my internet went down. But I'll send through that snapshot to everyone. But I'd highly recommend it. That's a really, really good starting point. Really get clear in terms of what your outgoings are. And as I said, how much time and energy you are spent doing your day-to-day job and spending those things that you think that you want. And perhaps we can come back to that next session.
Yeah.
Brilliant. In the follow-up email, can you also reference the book, because I missed which book you'd been talking about?
Sure. Yeah, there's loads of books I've been reading on this, so I'll send I'll send a homework list through. Shall I? Just my top 5 kind of financial books that I've been reading recently, but certainly that's one of them.
As long as I promise not to go out and buy.
Only if it resonates with your values. Yeah, no, I'll send those through. Any final remarks, questions, thoughts?
No, it's been brilliant. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I like very much what you said, Natalie, about the revisiting the values, like with the moon cycles. I'm a big moon watcher myself, and that seems like a perfect exercise to do every lunar cycle, and just a refreshing. And I would be curious, and I think that's why Lou had so much problems trying to select the one, because they do change, and we do have moments where one is more prevalent, and I'm sure my growth will finally, subside a little bit, and something else will come up. But this was very valuable for understanding these values, and I like the understanding which value has the least rating for you. So I'm excited to look deeper into the passions and why I'm lacking that.
Yeah,
now.
we look forward to hearing about it. Look forward to hearing more on that. Yeah.
Natalie, you've got a community, haven't you, that you could perhaps share to everyone here as well?
Yeah, so I run a wellbeing community, and it's mainly kind of yoga and meditation, but I'm happy for everyone just to kind of join for a free month if you wanted to kind of benefit from that. It's just a container to kind of help bring people together that want to develop. So I'll pop that in the email, the link to the group on Facebook, if you guys did want to join, and feel free, because it might just help support you through this kind of this course, really. So yeah, we'll include the link to that as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so the next one, so we're going to be doing these monthly. So the next one is on the first Tuesday of each month. So I think that's the 6th of April. Yeah. So that'll be the next one. If you haven't done so already, just you can register on the Eventbrite link, but I've got your details, so I'll send you the login details anyway. But thanks ever so much for coming and getting up and getting on. Been a pleasure meeting you all. And I'll at some point today I'll send through all the questions and everything we've gone through, the reading book list, anything to go away and think about as well.
Perfect.
So thanks ever so much for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much. It's been fun.
Have a great day,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks
Bye.
again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.